The colony streets were full of noise hover carts, traders shouting, engine fumes rising into the yellow sky. People moved quickly, not looking at each other. Everyone had somewhere to go, but no one looked at her. She was small. Her skin was light purple with faded white marks across her arms. She wore an old robe that didn't fit, torn at the bottom. Her silver eyes looked dull from hunger. Her name was Leah, but no one here knew that. To them, she was just the alien kid. One of many war orphans left after the Battle of Takarin. She sat near the food stalls, watching people eat. Her stomach made soft noises. Once or twice, she stood and tried to speak. "Food, please?" No one stopped. Some turned away. A few muttered, "Disgusting Takaran blood," or should have left her off-planet. Others just walked faster. Lee didn't cry anymore. That stopped a long time ago. She just pulled her arms close to her chest and stayed quiet. Her feet were bare. Cold dust stuck to her toes. Behind the fuel station, there was a pile of old metal crates. A tea, that was her bed. She slept on hard metal and covered herself with a torn plastic sheet. Every night, she prayed not to be loved, just not to be seen. One rainy evening, the clouds opened. Sharp drops hit the metal roofs. People rushed inside, but Leah had nowhere to go. She curled under her plastic sheet and sat near the waste bin behind Juno's repair shack. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her hands trembled. She whispered the only human word she knew that meant safe, warm. Then her body went still. Her eyes fluttered. She fell sideways and hit the mud. That's when he saw her. Gramps Juno was an old man. His hair was silver white, tied back. He had a long scar across his jaw, and his right leg made a sharp clicking sound with every step. People called him crazy, stubborn, Ken too old for this world. But Gramps had eyes that noticed things others ignored. When he stepped out to throw away some junk, he saw the small figure in the rain. At first, he thought it was just scrap. Then he saw it move. He rushed forward. Hey, kid, you breathing?" He knelt beside her. She didn't move. Her skin felt too cold without thinking. He picked her up. She weighed almost nothing, like a bundle of bones and cloth. Gramps cursed under his breath. What kind of world lets a child lie in the mud like this? He carried her into the shack. Inside was a mess of old tools, wires, and broken machines. He laid her on the bench, grabbed a towel, and gently dried her skin. Her breathing was shallow. But there, he heated water, made some instant broth, and waited. Then something strange happened. As she slept, her fingers twitched. Glowing blue lines appeared faintly along her arms, like soft lightning under her skin. The air around her hummed quietly. Gramps felt it in his knees first. The sharp ache that had lived there for 20 years was gone. He stood. No pain then. He opened and closed his fingers. The stiffness from old war injuries had vanished. Just like that, he stared at the girl. "What in all the stars are you, kid?" She woke after a few hours. Her eyes blinked open slowly. She sat up, fast afraid, ready to run. "It's all right," Gramps said, raising both hands. "You're safe here." She didn't speak. But she didn't run either. He offered her the cup of broth. She took it with both hands, shaking as she drank. She looked around, confused. She pointed at the tools, then at herself. He smiled. "You like machines." She gave a small nod. "I'm Juno," he said slowly, pointing to his chest. "Runo," she pointed at herself. "Lee." "Leah," he smiled wider. "Us to meet." "You, Leah." That night, she fell asleep on a soft pile of cloth he made for her. Gramps sat beside an old heating unit, watching her breathe. He lit a cigarette, but didn't smoke it, just held it and thought. He remembered the war, the orders, the silence afterward. the way everyone wanted to forget. But he couldn't forget the faces of children, caught in the middle, just like her. Outside, the rain had stopped. Inside, for the first time in many years, Gramps Juno didn't feel alone, and neither did she, in the soft morning light. The old repair shack felt warmer than usual. Gramps Juno rubbed his eyes and stood from his creaky chair. His leg, the one with the metal brace, didn't hurt like it usually did. He stretched his back, and something cracked, but it felt good. Too good. Then he saw the engine. The busted old hoverbike motor that had been dead for 5 years was humming. Gently. No one touched it. No one even went near it. Except maybe, her. He turned. Leah was already awake. She sat cross-legged on the floor with some broken circuit boards in her lap. She wasn't doing much, just holding them. Her fingers moved slowly over the wires, and as she touched them, blue sparks danced like tiny lights. "Kid, what are you?" Juno whispered, more curious than afraid. She looked up. Her silver eyes blinked. "Fix." He walked over. "You fixed it." Looked her head and smiled a little. "Fix, help." He sighed and rubbed his jaw. "You've got gifts. Girl, dangerous ones." Later that morning, Juno made them both food. Just eggs and toast, nothing fancy. Leah didn't say much, but she watched everything, how he used the knife, how he timed the toaster. She looked like she was learning every move. After breakfast, she found an old data slate on the shelf and tapped it a few times. It lit up, showing schematics of tools and machines. She studied it like it was treasure. "You like machines, huh?" Juno asked. She looked up and nodded fast. "Machine, talk to me." That sentence made him freeze. "You talk to machines." Oh, she tapped her head. "They talk, inside. Quiet voice. Show me where, broken." Now that was something Juno had never heard before, not in all his years working tech, not even during the war. Most engineers needed scanners and tools, but this kid just listened on the machines. Listened back. Juno left the shack later to grab more supplies. As he walked through the colony market, people stared. "Is it true?" One woman asked. "You took in that thing." "She's just a kid," he said flatly. "She's Takaran," said a trader. "Those glowing ones, they started the war." Juno growled. "She didn't start anything. She nearly died in the mud while all of you walked past." He kept walking, angry. But deep down, he also knew. They were scared. And if they found out what Leah could do, if the government or the corporations saw her powers, they'd take her away. Use her, or worse. When he returned to the shack, Leah had arranged all his broken tools on the table. Each one looked, repaired. He blinked. "You did this." She grinned. "Fix you? Help me." "I help you." That night, after they ate, Juno sat with her by the fire barrel in the corner of the shack. The light danced across her face. She looked peaceful. He asked gently, "Where are your parents?" Her smile faded. She hugged her knees. "Gone." Boom. Fire from sky. Juno's heart sank. She continued, slower. "I ran. Soldiers chase. I hide. Then, quiet. No more anyone." Juno stayed quiet for a while. "You don't have to run anymore, kid." She looked up. "I promise," he said. "As long as I breathe, no one touches you." She reached out and touched his arm. For a second, he felt warmth, deep warmth, like standing under sunlight. His scars itched. His shoulder clicked back into place. Then she leaned her head on him and whispered, "Safe man." But not everyone believed she was safe. That same night, somewhere far above in orbit, a black surveillance drone hovered above the colony. It zoomed in on the repair shack, The faint readings from earlier had returned energy spikes, unregistered tech, and glowing heat signatures. The drone blinked. Then it sent the signal. Somewhere in the deep stars, someone saw it and smiled. Back at the shack, Juno tucked Leah into her pile of blankets and switched off the lights. But he couldn't sleep. Instead, he sat by the window, old rifle resting across his knees, for the first time in many years. He felt like he had something worth protecting, something worth fighting for again. And outside, hidden in the shadows, the machines hummed softly, each one glowing just a little, as if saying thank you. The sun rose quiet over the colony. Inside the small repair shack, Leah was already awake. She sat on the floor, legs crossed, a small glowing orb in her hands, just some old junk from the scrap pile. But under her fingers, it floated, humming. Softly, Rem's Juno opened one eye, still half asleep. "You're up early, Spark Girl." Leah looked up, her face calm. "Machine told me to fix light." Juno chuckled, sitting up and rubbing his eyes. "I'm getting used to your strange ways, kid." But in truth, he wasn't used to it, not even close. Every day since she came, the shack changed. Tools stayed charged. Power didn't drop anymore. Old machines that had been dead for years started blinking and working. Even the coffee machine, which hadn't brewed in a decade, now worked like new at first. Juno thought it was just luck, but now he knew it was her, and something else was happening too. His hands didn't shake anymore. His leg brace didn't hurt. His mind was clearer than it had been in years. He could lift crates he hadn't touched since his youth. It was like time was rewinding, slowly, and it all started when Leah touched his arm. That afternoon, Juno went out to find spare parts. He left Leah behind with instructions to lock the door and stay quiet. But someone was watching. Not a person, a drone. It hovered far above the colony, hidden in the clouds. Its sensors zoomed in on the shack. Inside, it detected power surges, energy flow that should not exist. It recorded everything and sent a signal through the stars. Somewhere out there, someone was listening. Leah sat on the bench, looking at a broken control chip. Her fingers moved slowly, gently repairing it. But her mind was far away. She remembered the palace halls on her homeworld before the war. She had been a child of nobility. She remembered blue trees, crystal towers, and glowing skies. Then, the fire, the fall, and the running. She had hidden inside a mining ship. The ship crashed here. Everyone else died. She survived, alone until Juno, later that night. Juno came back with a sack of metal scraps. Before he could say anything, Leah ran up to him, panicked. Man came. Big eyes. Not knock. Look window. Left fast. Juno froze. Someone was spying. She nodded. His old instincts kicked in. He checked the door, the cameras, the motion sensors. Everything looked normal. But that didn't mean they were safe. He sat her down, serious now. "Leah, who are you? I mean, really." She looked away. He lowered his voice. "You can tell me, kid. I'm not scared." Slowly, she spoke. "Tucker on air. Last blood. My people. Hunted. My blood. Special. Special. How?" She touched her chest. "Heart not just beat. It carries power. I fix. Not just machines. I fix life." Juno leaned back, shocked. "You're telling me you can heal people?" She nodded. "But too much, ... I fade." He looked at her, eyes wide. "That's why. I'm getting stronger." "Yes," she whispered. Outside, the shadows moved. Down the road, a tall man in a black coat stepped out from behind a wall. He held a scanning device that glowed red. "Target confirmed," he said into a comlink. "The air is alive." He turned his head toward the shack, eyes cold. "Prepare for retrieval." Back inside, Juno lit a small oil lamp. The glow bounced. "Off the walls? So you're telling me you've single quotes royalty?" She shrugged. "No crown, no throne, just me." "You have any idea what governments would do if they found out?" "Yes, lock, use, break." Juno clenched his fist. "Not while I'm breathing." Then he stood. "We're not waiting for them to come. Tomorrow, we're moving to my old cabin in the outer fields. No cameras. No patrols." Leah nodded, but looked nervous. Then she whispered, "They will come, Juno. Even if we hide." He looked her straight in the eyes. "Let them." That night, Juno couldn't sleep. He sat near the window, watching stars blink in the sky. Somewhere out there, people wanted to take Leah, and maybe they didn't just want her power. Maybe they feared what she represented. Hope. The kind that healed old men. The kind that brought machines back to life. The kind that made a broken galaxy scared. He loaded his old rifle. "She's not alone anymore," he said softly. Outside, the wind howled. Asterix night fell over the colony. The stars above looked calm. But danger had already landed. A black ship, silent and smooth, hovered just beyond the edge of town. No lights, no welcome codes. It touched down near the rocky canyon, where no one ever went except smugglers and ghosts. Out stepped 3 figures. All wore dark armor with sharp edges. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks. No voices, no names. Just motion and purpose. The leader checked a wrist scanner. A small red light pulsed on the screen. Energy signature. Recent, rare. "It's her," he said coldly. "The last one," the second hunter hissed. "Orders? Capture her, alive. Kill the human if needed." Back at the repair shack, Gramps Juno packed fast. Old tools, food, medicine, blankets all stuffed into a hover crate. He moved like a man in his prime, not someone who used to limp. Leah helped quietly. She folded wires, carried parts, even fixed the old hover scooter in seconds. Her eyes glowed softly every time her fingers touched metal. "We leave before sunrise," Juno said. "That old cabin of mine, one knows about it. We'll be safe there." Leah paused. "You sure?" "No," he admitted, "but I've learned something." She tilted her head. "When life gives you someone worth fighting for, you fight." That night, they ate their last dinner in the shack. Lee sat quietly, staring at the small fire. Juno placed a blanket over her shoulders. She looked up at him and asked, "Why do you care?" Juno leaned back in his chair. "Off. I've seen what happens when no one cares. War, pain, kids left behind." He looked her in the eyes. "I'm too old to save the world, but I can save you." For a moment, her eyes shimmered. Not glowing. "Just wet," she whispered. "You are ... my family now." But peace didn't last. Down the street, motion sensors triggered. The shack's camera blinked red. A silent warning. Juno stood fast, rifle in hand. Leah grabbed his sleeve. "Who?" He checked the screen. Nothing showed, but he knew better. "To clean," he muttered. "Like they're blocking the signal." Suddenly, a crash. The door burst. Inward metal bent like paper. The 3 hunters stepped in, silent and fast. Leah screamed. Juno fired. The blast hit one in the chest, but it only staggered him. The second hunter raised a baton glowing with red energy. Juno rolled aside just in time. "Run!" He shouted. Lee dashed behind the workbench. Sparks flew as another shot hit the wall beside her. One hunter grabbed her arm. In that moment, everything changed. Leah's body erupted in light. Her eyes burned blue-white. The hunter touching her screamed as electricity jolted through his armor. He flew backward, crashing into the far wall. The other two moved to grab herbet tools on the bench, levitated, and shot through the air like knives. Juno grabbed Leah and pulled her behind the fire barrel. "Are you doing that?" She nodded, shaking. "I don't want to hurt, but they try to take me." He held her tight. "Then don't hold back." She stood, her body pulsed with raw energy. Wires lifted. Machines shook, and every broken engine in the room sparked alive. The two remaining hunters charged. Leah raised one hand. The air bent. The first hunter froze mid-run, his armor locked in place. He fell like a statue. The last one reached for a grenade before he could throw it. The old hoverbike behind him exploded, sending him through the wall and out into the night. Silence. Only Leah's breathing could be heard. She looked around, scared but calm. "I didn't want to hurt," she said softly, "but I won't be taken." Juno stood slowly. He stared at the wreckage. He had fought in wars, seen weapons of all kinds, but nothing like this. "You're not just powerful," he whispered. "You're something more." She turned to him, small and glowing. "They will send more." "No." He knelt down. "But now we know what you can do, and I'm not going anywhere." They didn't wait until sunrise. Juno and Leah loaded their things fast, climbed onto the hover scooter, and rode out into the open plains beyond the colony. The stars watched from above, and somewhere in the dark sky, another ship turned to follow. The plains outside the colony were cold and quiet. Stars shined overhead, and dust clouds rolled across the dry land. Wind howled through old fences and forgotten ruins. On a small hover scooter, Juno and Leah raced through the night. Juno gripped the handles tight, his silver hair blowing behind him. Leah sat behind him, holding on to his waist. Her eyes were alert, glowing softly in the dark. Behind them, smoke still rose from the repair shack they left behind, broken but not beaten. After an hour of riding, they reached a small, hidden cabin near the canyon cliffs. The building was old, made of thick metal walls and rusty solar panels. It had been Juno's backup shelter long ago during the war. Nobody knew it was here, not even the local colony officers. He parked the scooter and opened the heavy door. "Welcome to the safest dump in this sector," he said with a half smile. Leah stepped in slowly. The cabin was dusty but warm. There was a working heater, a water tank, and an old bed. She looked around carefully, then nodded. "Safe for now," Juno said. They sat near a fire pit inside. Juno opened a can of beans and warmed it, while Leah played with a small gear in her hand, spinning it with her mind. "You tired?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not sleepy. Just ... heavy." She touched her chest. "Here. Inside." Juno nodded. "You've been through a lot." Silence passed between them. Then Leah looked at him, her voice small. "Why you help me?" Juno leaned back against the wall. "I guess, 'cause no one helped me once, and I still remember how that felt." She tilted her head. "You were alone too." He nodded. "When?" "The war ended, everyone moved on. I didn't. Lost people. Lost purpose. My body broke. My heart too." He poked the fire. "But when I found you lying in the rain like that, ... I saw someone like me. Someone the world forgot." Leah's lips trembled slightly. "I thought I was nothing," she said. "You're not," he replied firmly. "Something very special. And I don't just mean your powers." She looked at him carefully. "You gave me second chance." Juno smiled. "Yeah, I guess I did," she whispered. "Then I give you one too." She reached out and touched his chest. Light flowed through her fingers into his heart. Not hot, Not painful, just warm. Like sunshine in winter, Juno gasped. The scars on his back vanished. His right eye, which had been cloudy for years, cleared. His hands stopped shaking completely. He felt ... young. What did you do? He whispered. She smiled. Gave back what world took. Tears welled in Juno's eyes. Leah. No one's ever done something like that for me. You did it first. She said softly. Outside, a drone flew past overhead, too far to be seen, too silent to be heard. Inside, the fire crackled. The next day, Juno and Leah worked together. They sealed the cabin doors with metal plates. Leah adjusted the generator, using her energy to make it run cleaner and quieter. The lights inside glowed with a soft blue hue. It felt like home. That evening, they sat on the roof, watching the stars. Do you miss your planet? Juno asked. Leah was quiet for a moment. Yes. Sky was pink. Trees like glass. Water that sang. She looked up, but it is gone now. No one left. You're left. She smiled slightly. Now, we are both left together. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed in the distance, a ship's engine. Both of them jumped to their feet. Juno grabbed his rifle. Leah raised her hands, energy flickering between her fingers. They saw it, a scout ship flying low, staining the land. Stay low, Juno whispered. That's not a colony ship. Leah closed her eyes, focused. The lights inside the cabin dimmed. Even the heat signature of the place dropped. She was hiding them. With her mind, Juno watched in awe. You can do that too. Only for a short time, she said. Then I get tired. The ship hovered, scanned, then flew off. Juno lowered his rifle, breathing heavy. That was close. Later that night, Juno gave her a small music player. It was old and scratched. I used to listen to this during the worst times. Helped me feel like I still mattered. She pressed play. Soft human music filled the air, gentle piano. Quiet strings. Leah smiled and whispered, It sounds like home. Juno looked at her. It is now. Asterisk night came fast over the canyons. The wind picked up, sharp and dry. The stars above twinkled coldly. Inside the hidden cabin, Juno sat by the window with his old rifle across his lap. Every creak in the floor made his hand tighten on the grip. Beside him, Leah slept curled in blankets, her skin softly glowing. She was peaceful, but her light flickered like something inside her was changing. Juno kept watch. They both knew the peace wouldn't last. At midnight, a sharp click echoed outside. Juno stood fast, heart racing. He looked through the old scope. Shadows moved along the rocks. 1.2. 4 shapes, all wearing black armor. Silent, cold. Just like the last hunters, but more of them. This was a full strike team. He turned to Leah. Wake up. Her eyes snapped open. They're here. She stood fast. I feel them. Juno quickly pulled. The crate under the floor. Go down. Hide. I'll hold them off. But she grabbed his hand. No, Leah, I can fight. No, she said again. Firmer. We fight together. Juno looked at her glowing eyes, and for the first time, she didn't look like a scared child. She looked like something ancient, something powerful, something ready outside. The strike team moved in silently. They placed charges on the door, but before they could trigger them, the door burst open from the inside, and Leah stepped out. Her bare feet touched the stone. Her eyes burned like stars. The soldiers raised weapons. She raised one hand. The earth shook. Old mining machines buried near the canyon began to wake up, their systems blinking after decades of silence. Cables lifted from the ground like snakes. Juno followed behind her, armor strapped across his chest. His old war badge gleamed under the moonlight. He carried a blaster and a blade. "Let's give them hell, Spark Girl." The soldiers opened fire. Leah raised a shield of energy. The bullets hit an invisible wall, shattering like glass. Juno took position behind a rock and returned fire clean, precise. His old reflexes were back, not a tremble in his hands. One soldier rushed Leah with a shock baton. She turned and stared. The weapon froze midair. Then it crumpled like paper. The soldier dropped, unconscious. Juno fired at another. He took a hit in the shoulder, but kept going. Leah screamed and the machines moved. A buried mining claw swung from the dust and slammed into two attackers. A broken tower behind them lifted itself, blocking more reinforcements. Her powers weren't just growing. They were awakening everything around her. Juno was bleeding. He staggered behind cover, breathing hard. One of the bullets had pierced through his armor. He looked down red, soaked his shirt. Leah rushed over. "No," she cried, touching his chest. But he stopped her hand. Don't waste it." "You saved me," she said, eyes glowing bright. "Now I save you." She pressed her hand on the wound. Light surged. His pain vanished. His heart steadied, but Leah collapsed. She fell to her knees, shaking. Her glow dimmed. Juno caught her. "You okay?" She looked up weakly. "Gave too much." He pulled her close. "I've got you." More enemies were coming. But now, Juno had fire in his blood. And the last of his strength, he stood, carrying her in one arm, rifle in the other. And then he ran stirred into the fight. The final soldier aimed a plasma weapon at Juno's back. Leah lifted her hand one last time. A blast of pure white energy shot from her palm, striking the weapon. It exploded in the soldier's hands, knocking him flat. Silence. The canyon was still. The only sounds were the crackling of machines and Juno's heavy breathing. He looked down. Leah was unconscious. Her glow had faded. "Stay with me, kid," he whispered. "You did good." He carried her back to the cabin and laid her on the bed. She didn't wake up, but her breathing was soft. She was alive. That night, Juno sat beside her with blood on his hands and fire in his eyes. He stared at the stars. "They'll send more," he said. "But I don't care. She's not your weapon. She's not your experiment. She's not your prize. She's mine." He lit a Bacana message to the stars. "If anyone comes for her again," he said to the empty sky, "they better be ready to lose." The sky turned red. It wasn't sunset. It was the fleet. Hundreds of dark ships blocked the stars above the canyon. Some were small scouts and drones. Others were huge, with long arms and silent engines. In the center was a golden flagship shaped like a blade, hanging in the sky like a warning. The Takaran Highborn Council had arrived, but they weren't here to rescue Leah. They were here to take her by force. Inside the cabin, Juno checked his gear. His shoulder was bandaged, his arm stiff, but he stood strong. Leah lay quietly on the bed, still weak from healing him. He wiped the sweat from his face and watched her chest rise and fall. He whispered, "Stay with me, kid." Then the loudspeaker crackled. A cold female voice echoed across the canyon. "This is Commander Varel of the Takaran Bloodline Enforcement Fleet. You are sheltering a high-value fugitive. Release the girl or be erased." Juno didn't flinch. He grabbed the old comm unit, turned it on, and spoke with a rough voice. "The girl stays. Come get her." 10 minutes later, a bright light lit up the sky. A drop pod slammed into the ground near the cabin, throwing dust and stone everywhere. From the smoke walked 5 Takaran elites, armor shining, weapons glowing dot. Juno stepped outside, gun raised. Behind him, Leah stood weakly. her body trembling, but her eyes were open now, glowing again. The lead soldier paused. "That's her," he said into his mic. Leah looked at Juno. "They want me," she said. "They can't have you," he said. She stepped forward. "Then we decide this together." Suddenly, a golden platform lowered from the flagship above, and from it, Commander Varel stepped onto the canyon floor. She was tall and cold, with gold implants in her skull and silver veins on her face. Her voice was sharp like ice. "You are the last heir of the Takaran line," she said to Leah. "You are not meant to live among dirt and humans." "I lived," Leah replied, "because this human cared." Virel tilted her head. "You could lead us. Entire systems would kneel. And yet you hide in a shack, fixing scrap." Leah stood tall. "I don't want power. I want peace." Virel's lips curled. "Then you are unfit to rule." She raised her hand, then the soldiers pointed their weapons. Juno stepped in front. "Of Leah, you'll have to shoot through me." Virel gave a slow, cold smile. "So be it." But before the order came, the ground trembled. A light erupted behind Juno, bright, pure, and endless. It wasn't just from HFY. It was from everything she had touched. The machines, the wires, the broken drones. They woke up. They surrounded the canyon in a ring of fire and light. Virel shouted, "What is this?" Leah stepped forward, her voice loud and clear. "You called me an heir. But I am something else. I'm the last memory of what the Takaran could have been. Not war, not blood, just ... hope." She lifted her hand. All weapons melted into dust. Soldiers dropped to their knees, not from pain, but from peace. Virel screamed, "Nitrogen monoxide," and then she fell silent. Her body froze, held in place by the very machines she once controlled. Juno looked around. Stunned, the canyon glowed. Liaiwa walked to him and took his hand. "You gave me a second chance," she said softly. He smiled. "You gave me one too." The next day, news spread across the stars. The Takaran fleet left quietly, their commander disgraced. No shots fired. No blood spilled, just one glowing girl and one old man who refused to let her go. Weeks later, a gathering was held in the colony square. Humans and aliens both came. Leah stood beside Juno on the stage. A human officer spoke into a microphone. This child was left to starve. Until one man saw her. Not as an enemy, not as a threat, but as someone who deserved a chance. He turned to Juno. "We owe you, old man." Juno just smiled and put a hand on Leah's shoulder. "She saved me first." Leah spoke to the crowd. Her voice was calm and full of light. "I was once hunted, feared, forgotten, but now I am not alone. This is my home, and this man is my family." The crowd cheered, children waved, old veterans saluted. Even machines nearby hummed softly, as if listening to their new protector. That night, back at the cabin, Juno sat by the fire while Leah looked up at the stars. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, "why you found me?" Juno chuckled. "Maybe fate. Maybe just dumb luck." She smiled. "I think we were both broken, and the universe decided to fix us together." Okay. Nodded slowly. "Yeah, that sounds about right."